The man and his new dog. Tom was a man who lived alone. He had a small house in the city. Tom liked to be outside, and he often went for long walks. He had many friends, but sometimes he felt lonely. He didn't have any family living nearby, and he thought it would be nice to have a pet. One day, while walking in the park, Tom saw a poster on a tree. The poster said, "Adopt a dog. Give a dog a home." There was a picture of a small dog with big brown eyes. The dog looked sad but also friendly. Tom looked at the picture for a long time. He thought, maybe this is the solution to my loneliness. Maybe I can adopt a dog. The next morning, Tom decided to go to the animal shelter to see the dogs. He had never adopted a pet before, so he wasn't sure what to expect. When he arrived at the shelter, the worker at the front desk greeted him with a smile. "Hello. How can I help you today?" she asked. "I saw a poster about adopting a dog." "I'm interested in adopting one," Tom said. "That's great. Let me show you the dogs we have," the worker replied. She led Tom to a big room where there were many dogs in cages. Some were playing, and others were resting. There were big dogs, small dogs, young dogs, and old dogs. Tom looked at each dog carefully. He didn't know which one to choose. Then, one dog caught his eye. It was the same dog from the poster. The small dog was sitting quietly in a cage. It had soft, brown fur and big, sad eyes. Tom felt a connection to this dog right away. He walked over to the cage and bent down to look at the dog. "Hello, little dog," Tom said softly. The dog looked up at him and wagged its tail. Tom smiled. "I think I've found the dog for me." The worker smiled too. "This dog's name is Max. He's been here for a few weeks. He's very friendly and loves to be with people. Would you like to meet him outside the cage?" Tom nodded, and the worker opened the cage. Max jumped out and wagged his tail even more. Tom bent down to pet him, and Max licked his hand. Tom laughed. He had never felt so happy to meet an animal before. "He's perfect," Tom said. "I want to adopt him." "Great choice," the worker said. "Let's get the paperwork started." Tom filled out the forms to adopt Max, and after a little while, everything was ready. Tom was excited to take Max home. He paid the adoption fee and signed the papers. The worker gave him a leash and said, "Max is yours now. Take good care of him." Tom thanked her and put the leash on Max. They walked out of the shelter together. Max seemed to be very happy, and Tom was excited to have a new friend. When they got home, Tom showed Max around. "This is your new home," Tom said, as he opened the door. Max sniffed around and wagged his tail. He seemed to like his new house. Tom smiled. "I think we're going to be very happy together." Tom made a special bed for Max in the living room. It was soft and warm. Max lay down on the bed and closed his eyes. Tom sat on the couch and watched him for a while. He felt happy knowing that Max was now part of his life. The next few days were full of new adventures. Tom took Max on long walks every morning. Max loved to walk in the park and play in the grass. Sometimes, they would meet other dogs, and Max would run around and play with them. Tom would watch and laugh. It made him happy to see Max so happy. In the evenings, Tom would sit on the couch and watch TV, and Max would sit next to him, resting his head on Tom's lap. Max loved to be close to Tom, and Tom loved having him there. It felt good to have a friend, someone who was always there. One weekend, Tom decided to take Max to the beach. He had heard that dogs love the beach, and he wanted to see if Max liked it. When they arrived, Max ran straight into the sand. He ran around, jumping and digging. Tom laughed as Max ran in circles. It was the first time Max had been to the beach, and he was having a great time. After a while, Tom and Max sat on the sand. Tom gave Max some water, and they both watched the waves. Max lay down next to Tom and looked at the water, his tail wagging slowly. Tom smiled and said, "This is perfect, Max. I'm so glad we found each other." As the weeks passed, Tom and Max became best friends. Tom took good care of Max. He made sure he had plenty of food and water. He took him to the vet for regular checkups, and he made sure Max was healthy and happy. Tom loved Max very much, and Max loved Tom too. One day, Tom was feeling a little sad. He had been thinking about his family, and he missed them. He hadn't seen them in a long time. He sat down on the couch, feeling lonely. Max walked over to him and jumped up on the couch. He put his head on Tom's lap and looked at him with big, kind eyes. Tom smiled and began to pet Max. "Thank you, Max," Tom said quietly. "You always make me feel better." Max wagged his tail and licked Tom's hand. Tom laughed. "You're a good dog, Max. I'm so lucky to have you." From that day on, Tom and Max were always there for each other. Whenever Tom felt sad, Max was there to cheer him up. Whenever Tom felt happy, Max was there to share the moment. They were a team. 1 year later, Tom celebrated his birthday. He didn't have a big party or many presents, but he was happy because Max was there with him. Max gave him a special gift, a big lick on the face. Tom laughed and hugged him. "Thank you, Max," he said. "You're the best gift I could ever have." That evening, Tom and Max sat on the porch, watching the sunset. Tom put his arm around Max and said, "I'm so glad I adopted you, Max. You've made my life so much better." Max wagged his tail and leaned his head on Tom's shoulder. Tom smiled. "We're going to be happy together forever, aren't we?" Max looked up at him, and Tom could see the love in his eyes. He knew the answer. Yes, they would be happy forever.
Please like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe.